Hello everyone, this is WWE Gaming, and don't mind the noise in the background. The laundry is working right now. So, anyways, this update we're gonna talk about is the 6th anniversary. Yep, it's that time again. Let's talk about it, shall we? This is gonna bring an interesting new hero into the game, and that character is Enya. And many of you might have heard of Enya before because she is, I could say, by far the game breaking character in PvP. Like, I'm not even kidding. This character is in fact really dangerous. And also she is a first ban priority as far as I know in PvP because I'll explain why. Enya is so powerful to the point where people are gonna first ban her for sure. So yeah, anyways, that her talent. Well, actually, before I say what her talent is, her factions. She's probably less legends, origins of light, and mythical realm. And you notice that the less legends is glowing orange. Well, that's because she's a new faction buffer for less legends. Yep, there's now finally a new faction buffer for less legends. Although we already knew this by now because of the all about faction buff video I had previously. And speaking of that video, I am going to update that one soon. But right now, I'm gonna focus on recording this video. So, yep, don't have time for that just yet. Hopefully, I'll get onto that point later. And for classes she's part of, she's Holy and Mage, which is solid picks for the mage, typical mage. But actually, she's not really a mage, but she's more like a healer herself as well. So I could see that some potential with her, like where she could replace perfectly well with Rosensteel. But however, you can make them both work together. But the thing is, there's already a lot of healers in the game, and in most players' boxes they usually come with only like two healers at least, or maybe only one, depending on what kind of box you're running. Like mostly rush boxes, they only carry one healer, but for me, I carry at least two just in case if one of them gets banned. But in worst case scenarios, they might end up banning both characters at the same time. So that's another possibility you need to watch out for when you're playing rush, because your main focus for that box is of course building up a DPS team over defense. Anyways, let's move on. This is getting off topic. So, anyways, her talent, Prophecy of Fate. So, Anyways, her int will be increased by 10 to 25%, depending on star level, as usual. At the end of the action, can predict the first skill that the ally hero will use in the next action, which will last for one turn. Which is an interesting thing to have, but although I'm not too sure what that means, but we'll see when she goes live, and I'll have to make some changes if necessary for Langrisser, of course. If a prophecy is fulfilled, the selected skill gains a cooldown reduction of 5. Ooh, that's gonna be big. Because like most of the skills that we have with the longest cooldown is 5, but there are some cases where some are like 6 or even longer. But that's only a few cases though. Like TRS, the cooldown of the 3C is 9. Oh my goodness! But thankfully, her SP is gonna fix that flaw with the long cooldown, because her talent basically reduces like certain cooldowns, which I'm not gonna say much here because this is all about Enya, not TRS. Yeah, just saying. Anyways, trigger cooldown of that, it can be triggered again after 4 to 2 turns. Again, depending on star level. That depends on Enya's star level, of course. And the prophecy effect is unique. It cannot be immune. It cannot be dispelled, which is most of the uniques are on there. Like you cannot even dispel it, and they can bypass the buff block. Yeah, something like that. When the prophecy is fulfilled, Enya gains leader stacks, and what this does is that it adds the unit range of like increased by 1 block, which is nice. And this can be stacked up to 3 times. Oh my goodness! So yeah, you can potentially have Enya with the +5, with the overall 5 attack range. Like Jesus Christ, like this is much worse than Lucretia. Like much worse than that. Like it's a 5 block attack range. Like what the heck? And also to make matters worse, those stacks cannot be dispelled. So if you try to dispel it, it will not work. When your leader stacks reach the maximum, the ally whose prophecy is fulfilled gets an extra turn after that, which is really nice. So I think the predict one is like when the ally hero uses a skill for their next action. I think that's what the prophecy is going to be applied to them. So that's what it means. Okay, I see how it is. So I think that's going to be pretty solid for she's a team support as well as like the capability of other things, which I'm going to talk about soon. So anyways, let's talk about the next part of which is the skills that she come with. So she has she has three 1C skills, like to be surprising here. Like most characters usually have 1C, 2C, and 3C. But Enya, on the other hand, she has three 1C skills. There's two of them that are active. Well, yeah, active skills, while one of them is a passive skill. So let's talk about one of the 1C skill really quick. So the first one is called Natural Grace. This has no cooldown, is a 3 blocks range, and it's a single target. And also the passive part does that when prophecy is fulfilled, Enya gains immunity to unable to use active skills for 2 turns, which is known as active skill silence, by the way, if you're wondering what that means. So yeah, so whenever her prophecy is fulfilled, Enya is not gonna get silenced, which is pretty nice. And this is only staying there for 2 turns, which means temporarily. And then this is a healing skill, actively used to restore HP of one ally unit equal to 5 times of Enya's int. If there are 2 or more stacks of leader, this skill can select 1 additional ally unit, which is really nice because you'll be able to heal multiple allies at once with this, as long as you have a prophecy fulfilled. Or actually, not prophecy fulfilled. Yeah, as long as you have to have 2 or more stacks of leader, which means maximum of 3, which is nice. And then let's talk about another 1C skill she has is a direct spell attack, and this is a passive skill. There's a passive component of this. When the prophecy is fulfilled, the cooldown of all skills will be reduced by 1 turn. Pretty nice. And then the magic damage on this is that it attacks one enemy, dealing 1.5 times damage. For each stack of leader, the damage is increased by 10%. So like, for example, if you have 3 stacks of leader, you're going to have 30 maximum of increased damage. Man, that is going to be huge. Just for a 1C skill, honestly. And then next up, let's talk about her 1C skill passive named Ancient Legend. So this one is a faction buff for Enya. So yeah, Enya's faction buff is going to be for the Less Legends. So when a prophecy is fulfilled, all your Less Legends allies, including herself, gains an attack in and defense plus 20% and MDef plus 30%. This is the typical faction buff stats for all the factions that we have so far. And also, as well as gaining the effect when actively attacking and engaging in combat, damage dealt plus 15%. When an ally acts again, they dispel 2 debuffs on themselves and become immune to debuffs for their current turn. So yeah, this is pretty strong for a faction buff. So I'm happy that the Less Legends are getting some love here. But of course, like any other faction buff, this cannot be coexisting with other faction buffs. So carry whichever you like to have as faction buffer. Otherwise, do not bring multiple, because it will overwrite. So be mindful of that. And then the 2C skill should come with is tracking and purification. It's a 3-turn cooldown, 6 blocks, 3 lines AOE. There's a bit of a typo there, but that's alright, forgivable. Magic damage is it attacks all enemies in 3 straight lines, 6 blocks long, dealing 0.3 times AoE damage, clearing all enemy terrain effects while restoring allies' HP by 3 times of her int, and the cooldown of trigger cooldown is reduced by 1 turn, which is a very powerful AoE skill. This not only does like a damage, this also heals. Kind of reminds me of Florentia's 3C, but a bit differently, of course. And you might think, what about her 3C? Well, I couldn't fit them all in one page, so I decided to split it into 2 different pages for this. So this is the one where I was talking about earlier, why she is overpowered. Well, I'm going to explain it right here. So her 3C skill All-Seeing Water Mirror, and it's a one-turn cooldown, 3 blocks, and it's a single target. And this skill is a summon skill. This is the one I was talking about that could potentially make her really strong to the point where people are gonna first ban her. That's for sure. So, anyways, the actively used to summon an illusion of another non-summon unit. And by the way, this also can be used on the enemy unit as well. Like what the heck? And what this is that it will create a water mirror in 2 rings around yourself that lasts for 2 turns. And yeah, this unit is only temporarily, so thank God. It'll be pretty terrifying if this is the whole duration. Yeah. Anyways, it can be active again after use. If the water mirror exists, this skill is replaced with Fate Sequence. And also in PvP mode, each character can only be targeted by this skill once. So yeah, so that means in PvP it'll make it more balanced. So that way you cannot keep getting that same unit over and over again. So yeah, for example, if your opponent has Jace, Enya can just straight up copy Jace for temporary amount of time, of course. And yeah, and also the illusion has the original characteristics and inherits all the current effects. It is considered as your last unit, coexists with your water mirror, and suffers when it goes beyond it. Damage is increased by 50%. When the illusion dies, the cooldown of the skill is increased by 1 turn. So yeah, this is like Selka's aspects of like her 3C, but this is a summon one. When it comes to like when something from the 3C effect dies or whatever is like used up, it's going to increase the cooldown to by 1 turn, which is yeah, which will basically makes Enya, which gives the opponent the opportunity to like take Enya out before another one comes back. So yeah, you can imagine this is gonna be really broken if you think about it. But of course, that the illusion doesn't stay on the field forever. They have a 2 turn duration before they disappear. And also speaking of 3C skill, there's gonna be another version of that, but of course that's only when the water mirror is active. So, anyways, the another part 3C skill is called Fate Sequence. It's a 1 turn cooldown, 3 blocks, single target. The target skill can be selected to be used on the enemy. When a prophecy is triggered, an additional stacks of leader will be obtained, and when the prophecy triggered on the enemy, the cooldown of their skill is increased by 2 turns. If the amount of leader stacks is at maximum, the cooldown will be stunned. Not a cooldown. The enemy will be stunned after the prophecy is triggered. In PvP mode, it is replaced with an immediate end of action. So yeah, if you're playing in PvE with this one, you're basically gonna be able to stun the enemy. But however, in PvP, you basically just end the turn directly, which I don't know which one's worse, getting stunned like that or getting your turn ended immediately. This kind of reminds me of one of the characters in Fire Emblem Heroes that does just that. I think her name was Sather. Like if you're standing in the same column as her, like on the enemy side, like for example, if you're using Sather and have an enemy that's like in the same row, that enemy will get the action ended immediately, something like that. So think of that for Sather in Fire Emblem Heroes. Like this is absolutely bananas, like literally. So yeah, if you ever see Enya on the field, be careful when you're facing her because I mean most of the time you're just gonna have the first banner. That's the only solution. And the command aura she has is that within the water mirror, allied units within the radius will receive 25% less AoE damage, and at the end of the action, HP equal to 3 times of Enya's int will be restored, which is pretty nice. Which means that more healing on the field. And the phase sequence is a support skill, and when actively used on an ally, the damage received will be reduced by 20%, and they become immune to all debuffs for 2 turns, which is nice. If the target is water illusion, the shift effect is also triggered, causing it to swap places in with the main body. Oh my goodness, that's actually really really terrifying if you think about it, like swapping places. Yeah, Enya has a lot of things going on there, and I couldn't blame those guys who first banned her because she is too broken. I gotta say. Although we just had to wait and see how she plays out because sometimes too broken doesn't mean it's very broken because there are some cases where you could probably outplay her, but the chance of that happening is slim to none. So if you ever see Enya in anyone else's box, ban her right now, literally ban her. But that also means this will open opportunity for them to use other heroes that were meant to be first ban, able to select them. So be careful who you choose to first ban because first banning Enya also means open up for more threats that's coming at you. Okay, next up, let's talk about what banner are we going to expect here. So I did make a makeover on this aspects of this installment by of course moving the dates to the top layer to like make it look modernized. Of course, with my own take, of course. So, anyways, first week we'll be expecting Enya coming in, which makes sense, and she's on a singular banner because this update only introduced her, and she is treated as a limited time character. So, if you want to get her, please get her before she disappears. And then on the same duration of weeks, there's an awesome summon which will be available for everyone to use, and this includes all the characters up until Tabris and Tyrantel major update. And there's also equipment banner, which I don't want to say much because there's a lot of equipments in the game, and I couldn't describe which ones are in there. So you're gonna look for that for yourself. So yeah. Next week after that is going to be the returning of three limited time banners, Watham, Ao, and Gotham or Apotheosis, and they will stay there for 3 weeks, starting from the second week. Well, actually, it really depends on how many weeks are going to last on here. I think it's 4 weeks, as far as I've seen, because most of the anniversary usually lasts for 5 weeks, but I don't know. I don't know if Global is gonna go for 5 weeks, but I have a feeling it's only 4 weeks because last major update that we have for anniversary only have 4 weeks, which is strange, but it's whatever. And on that same second week, there's gonna be a raid up banner featuring Ymir and Hoffman, and then on the same time, there's gonna be a Ocean Summon Langrisser 1, 2, and 3, and Langrisser Mobile 1 and 2 on that week. And this will be 2 weeks, by the way. So yeah, keep your eye out for the dates because these ones they're on the same week but different durations. The limited time ones last one more week over the regular ones. So be mindful of that. And on week 3, we have a Destiny banner featuring Sword, Light, and Shadow, or known as Z2, Tatalia, and also Kaguya. And then the Wish banner for Langrisser 4 and 5 heroes are also going to be available on that week. And finally, on the fourth week, we have Elise, Theon, and Lostum, and then a classic Destiny banner of Landius, Yulia, and Juglar. So yeah, as you can see here, this lineup is pretty solid for those who have missed some of the characters for the first time. Well, they did rerun some of the units here back and back lately, but you get my idea. You can get those characters once again if you missed them the first time. You get another opportunity to get them. Okay, let's move on. I have spoken enough for the banners. Let's move on to the next part, which is what events/changes to expect. So the additions here. So we're gonna see the events of like 6th anniversary Secret Realm event. There's gonna be a hero bag in the store, which will be including all the characters that are non-limited, by all the way to the point of Zion and Tiana. So yeah, if you missed any of the characters from before, this is the place where you get them. And then there's also a new Apex Arena game mode, which was already announced in the main court, by the way. And this one is like a pick and ban mode by 5 groups of 3. So you're thinking, what does that mean? Well, it's because like one group contains 3 heroes, and you can only initiate bans on the specific group, which is an interesting thing to have because we never had a new type of Apex Arena game mode for a while, and now we finally get something new for Apex Arena. But however, there's a thing you need to know. This mode is actually not the same as the traditional Apex Arena. This is treated as a different mode, so just keep that in mind. And this does not stay forever. It's a limited time mode, by the way. So when this mode goes live, we can try it out ourselves, and then we will see how it goes because it is different after all. And there's more. There's gonna be a login rewards event, like well, not necessarily events, but a permanent thing where if you log in a specific amount of days, you get even more stuff on it. So if you logged into the game for 2,200 days, you can choose an Anarchy skin before the 1st of January of 2024 for free. Yeah, pretty nice here. And then another login reward is that if you log into the game for at least 2,333 days, you'll get the amount of days of logged in as Trinity Crystals, and of course a new emoji pack. And this theme is called Game of the Brave, which is pretty nice because now we have more stuff we can look at. So yeah, I think it was Pop Team Epic, the one that we had previously. That is what it is like for the emoji pack. Now we're getting another one, but Langrisser originals, of course. So yeah, now you have something you can go for grabs if you've been playing the game for quite a long time, like me. And don't think I'll be quitting the game ever at any time soon. But anyways, I'm not gonna quit at all because as long as I have a character that I liked in the game, I'm staying. I'm staying for a long time. And of course, this update supposedly adds a preview feature to the hero bags, which is already live, by the way, in global. I don't know when exactly did that happen, but it is live right now, so I don't need to disclose much because it's just telling you what kind of characters that you already have and if one of them has 6 stars already or the ones that you don't have. Yeah, pretty helpful to those who didn't see their collection. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about a new confession and exclusive. So this time around, the new exclusive belongs to Jace, and this is the armor. HP plus 10%. If damage is dealt this turn, after taking action, the skill with the lowest cooldown gets cooldown minus 1. 1 turn, I mean. For every allied arcane traces existing on the map, Jace ignores 5% of enemies' MDEV. Ooh, pretty nice. And this can be increased up to 20%. So yeah, as long as Jace is placing those arcane traces, but of course standing on any tiles that are like open or empty, he will increase his MDEF ignore up to 20% for each traces you have. So I would say like if you have 4 of those arcane traces on the map, you are pretty much gonna do a lot of damage. That's for sure. And the new confession for this update is Varelia, which means that we will be able to see how many times have we used Varelia in our time of like bringing her in the field, which is nice to see. And next up, let's talk about the new casting skills. So this time there are 4 new casting skills we're gonna look at. So first up, we got Bernhard. Attack plus 5%. When using Overlord's Ambition skill, buff durations will not lose their turn count, and Bernhard can act again with the remaining mobility and attack. Yeah, this right there, I was thinking Bernhard's coming back. Well, that's interesting. Well, now I see why. This is the casting skill that brings him back potentially. So yeah, Cecil did say that Bernhard will return on the Enya update to the PvP meta. Well, not gonna lie, he did say that he did return, which but just by reading this casting skill, I could say yeah, of course, because of the act again component of this. Yeah, so Bernhard basically got Zelda treatment, but this is a bit different because this one ties on his 3C skill, which is Overlord's Ambition, which is pretty nice here. Okay, next up is Ares. So, anyways, Ares is casting increases his attack by 5%. When a talent effect Sweep Formation is triggered, the cooldown of Fearless Hurricane minus 1 turn, which is pretty nice. And a random damage skill will have its cooldown minus 1 turn for each stack of Sweep Formation is removed. So do I think Ares might return? Well, it really depends on what team that Ares is more suited for. I would say more suited for Rush, but in most cases, I don't think Ares is gonna be that crazy with this casting. But anyways, if you're not careful, then yeah, that's a different story. Okay, next up is Transcender. I believe this is Kong's old favorite character. I believe. Max stacks of Force of Annihilation plus 1 stacks, of course, which is pretty nice to have. If no damage is dealt after ending action, Transcender will gain 1 stack of Force of Annihilation. And when the passive effect of Reversal of Fate is triggered, Transcender will not die by fatal damage. So I've been digging through whether this is like a one-time thing, but no. Every time when he activates his 3C like Reversal of Fate, or the effect of that, he's gonna activate it multiple times. So yeah, only occur once, of course. But however, if it activates again, then yeah, he gets another revive, which is absolutely nuts. So yeah, Transcender, will I be seeing him in Apex Arena? I highly doubt that. But however, in Waifu Wars for sure, because Kong himself does use him as a team leader, which is pretty funny, don't you think? And finally, we have Toma Hashiba, the character from Samurai Trooper, or known as Ronin Warriors. It's getting casting in this update. Unit range +1, which is nice because Toma Hashiba is pretty weak right now, but with this casting, it's gonna make him much reliable. After dealing fixed damage, the trigger cooldown of Arms of Strata is reduced by 1 turn. Fixed damage plus 30% when Toma has Arms of Strata active. So yeah, the Arms of Strata one is actually interesting. Like the trigger cooldown is like 5 turns for it to activate, but with this one you don't have to worry much about it because it's gonna reduce it to like four turns. But 5 turns if your star level is not as high as you would think. And yeah, all that like and also fixed damage increase is also good to have because most of the characters like for example Lemia does have a boosted fixed damage on there. So seeing Toma Hashiba with this is a no brainer. So yeah, Toma really well deserved this because he is pretty weak as an SR. With this one, I think he could be a bit of an impact in certain content, but not to the point where it's broken. For PvP. And finally, let's talk about what's gonna come next after this update. The next one is gonna be, I would say, the update where you can relax because the 2 characters from Legacy of Millennium are coming, which you already seen them already from the Time Rift. Like Alia and Ilya are coming next. And also, like I said earlier, these are totally optional if you don't feel like summoning for them because they're not as broken as other characters. They're more like a support role. But I could say that there's at least one that could stand out the most. But in most cases, you don't need them. But if you care about these characters, like you like their character looks or for collection purposes, I would say summon for them if you have resources to spare. So, anyways, that's about it from me. So I'm gonna take a break for now. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was supposed to upload this yesterday, but for some reason, I'm upload to YouTube and ready to get this ready for next week. But wow, that time flies, and I kind of almost lost track of it. So, anyways, that's it from me. Hope y'all find this video informative, and I'll see you all next time. Oh, and by the way, if you are a member of the channel, you could probably watch this right now, but this was scheduled to public for next Monday, which is whatever that date was. I don't remember the exact time, so yep, just bear with me. See y'all next time.